Welcome to Theater Advice with OnStage Blog, where we answer all of your theater-related questions. I'm Greg. I'm part of the editorial staff of OnStage Blog, and with me is Chris Peterson, founder of OnStage Blog, and a man with more than 25 years experience directing, producing, working all facets of theater, as well as, of course, writing for theater for OnStage Blog. Chris, welcome. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. The one job I haven't had in theater is I've never been able to be the guy that leaves the ghost light on the stage when leaving the theater. That's the one job I wish I had.
All right. Well, if we get a question about that, we'll have to punt that to somebody else. But for
That's
everything else,
it's
we're
not my
going to
area. It's not my area of expertise. I don't know what I'm talking about. So
today's question is a good one. It's about curtain calls and whether to participate in them. So this question, before we get to that question, if you want your question answered by us on our YouTube channel, just email us at theateradviceosb@gmail.com. We'll also answer questions on Reddit, especially Theater Reddit, which is a great subreddit on there. This question comes from Reddit. It's from Reddit user 50-foot clown. And the title is, I don't want to be in the curtain call. Person says, I've been doing theater on and off for most of my life, both community and non-equity professional. I took a break from doing musicals for a while. I love them, but song and dance are more of something I can pull off rather than something I excel at. But now I'm in rehearsal for Ragtime, playing everyone's favorite racist fire chief, Willie Conklin. I'm sure the show is going to be great. I know I'm lucky to be a part of this cast, but I don't think I want to invite or encourage anyone I know to come see this show. I don't want them to see me saying, or God forbid, singing the blank I've got to say. And I feel kind of gross at the idea of bowing for it at the end of the play. Has anyone here ever felt like this? So, Chris, there's a couple different themes on here I want to ask you about. Let's start with, I think is the one that's top of this Reddit person's mind, which is you play a disgusting character on set. In this case, Willie Conklin, racist. He drops some not nice words to say about certain groups of people in Ragtime. How would you advise people who play this type of character? Let's start with just, I want to save the part about coming out for the curtain call at all, but rather just like, let's say you're coming out for the curtain call. Do you like act like everyone else, like take a very sweeping bow and, clap your hands, smile and everything? Do you act like it's just another role, or how do you act like that in front of an audience, especially people who may be shocked about some of the things you're saying in this character, especially people don't know Ragtime at all?
yeah, I mean, it goes back to what is the curtain call actually for? Is it for you, the actor, or is it for the audience? It's honestly both. It's an opportunity for the audience to thank you, the performer, for what you put on stage. So thank you so much for the past 2.5 hours. So you want to acknowledge that as an actor. Thank you for coming. Thank you for taking this in. But at the same time, from a performer standpoint, you're really thanking the audience for buying a ticket that night, for being there to witness what you put on. So it is a mutual exchange of affection at the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in any show that I've seen, people who play very heavy characters, very dramatic characters, the villains of certain shows, they're not coming out and hamming it up in front of the audience. It's not like this, thank you, oh, thank you so much, thank you. They're coming out and it's a respectful, like, thank you for coming. And that's what you can do in a role like Willie Conklin. Now, in contrast with the show, I don't blame anybody for feeling uncomfortable, playing a role like that. But that's where the understanding of being an actor comes into play. That's where the importance of the rehearsal process comes into play, with the director and you working with other actors, so that when you are using language like that, which, by the way, the creators of this show have actually, for certain audiences, gone back and edited the language out of the show. So the racial slurs for especially school productions are non-existent. So this might be just a regular community theater production where that script is still available. But that's where you have to have trust and communication with your co-stars. Now, the scene, to give people a context that is happening, is not only a racist scene, but it's basically an assault that takes place between a group of white men and a black woman, Sarah, in that show. It is not for the faint of heart. And so that's where conversations need to happen in that rehearsal process between the directors, between the actors, to make sure everybody feels safe to go there as an actor. So when you are saying racial slurs with hatred and vitriol behind it, it doesn't break your co-star, and that your co-star is still also afforded to be in that moment as well.
Yeah, yeah. So your advice to this specific person is basically saying, don't worry, like you're acting basically. Like be proud of your performance, you're performing, and take the curtain call. And be, again, you can be somber if you want, if that's how you want to treat it, instead of doing like this, audacious curtain call. You can be somber about it. I wouldn't be sad or mad during it, but be professional, I guess would be the way I'd say it.
Yeah, and the other thing too is this person, I mean, unless there's like 40 people in the cast, this whoever this actor is also probably playing other roles in the show, like
Yeah,
ensemble. So you're coming out, yes, you might have played this one scene as Willie Conklin, but you're also a part of the ensemble itself. So you're supporting your co-stars as well. And if this is a road that you want to go down as an actor, yes, you have to, like it, you have to go out for curtain call. Now, in my experience, there have been times where I was in shows that were like one act plays that were written like original pieces that were just the worst pieces
right.
of garbage you've ever seen. I still went out for curtain call because I understood the process.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you know anyone that never went out for a curtain call, or did for a particular show didn't go out for a curtain call? Has that happened?
No, honestly,
Yeah.
I've never heard. I mean, you hear about people not coming out to do stage door stuff out after the show because they're
Okay.
still kind of decompressing from the performance that they just went on. But yeah, I have never seen a curtain call that didn't include the entire cast, that a actor sat out or refused to come on to do the curtain call. Never happened.
Was there ever a show you did where you didn't want for whatever reason, doesn't mean you played like a racist character, but you didn't want your family or friends to see you in this play, whether it's you
Yeah.
specifically or the play in general?
Oh
Was
yeah.
there?
I mean,
Yeah.
there are thankfully, as most actors have circle of people, whether it's your parents, your siblings, your close friends, that will come see you in anything. Doesn't matter what show it is. They will come to
Right.
every single thing that you're involved with. There have been community theater productions. There have been college productions where my parents were like, "Yeah, we're gonna come," and I'm like, you know what? Don't even bother. Don't even bother.
Because
It's a terrible show. I
okay.
have my part is minuscule, maybe. Like I'm like, here's a good example. I didn't want my parents to come see a lot of my college productions because it was a 4.5 hour drive and I would have like 6 lines and I'd be in the background most of the time. And I just said, it's a waste of your time. Um,
So I want to focus on the terrible part because, right, if you only have like one line, I think we're talking about a very specific
yeah,
situation. Obviously, where it's a huge time investment to come to the show. I think that's a
exactly.
different calculation. Talk about. I want to get into the mentality of. I think this is a terrible show. I don't want anyone to know seeing that. Is that something you do again, or is that something that actors should learn to get through, because a show is a show, and you put your all into it. You're not ashamed of it because it's part. Especially let's talk community theater. Let's not talk paid Broadway theater or anything like that. Let's just talk community where you're doing this for the love of theater, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I know I won't name them, but I can think of at least 3 productions off the top of my head that I was involved with, that I directed, and then also acted in, that were just awful. Like they were awful shows. I tried everything in my power to make it good, but it just wasn't working. And I remember telling my friends, I think maybe you might have been one of them, don't come. No, you're good. You're good. I
You
don't
did
want
tell
you.
me not to come to a show. I remember that. I didn't really interrogate why, but yeah, you said I
Yeah,
remember you telling me like this is not a show.
it's
Is
not good. And the reason
is
being
that a
is,
deserve? Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
well, the reason is I didn't want people spending their hard-earned money to come see a bad show just because I was in it or just because I directed it. And I would rather you save the money. Let's meet up afterwards for dinner or drinks or something like that and commiserate about what I'm going through 2 hours before this. So for me, it's a courtesy thing. It's like I will always appreciate people saying, I would love to come see this show, but I will always say, like, look, it is not good in any objective form whatsoever.
Is so it's interesting. So is that, let me play devil's advocate a little bit. Is that a disservice to the other cast members? Let's say you're the only person in the show that thinks it's bad and everyone else thinks it's good. Is it a disservice to the other cast members that the audience would not be as full as it could be, or that you're not doing your part to bring in people to enjoy the show? Or and maybe your friends and family have a different opinion of the show than you, or all the things you think is bad is not something an audience member would see.
Yeah, I've
Is
thought,
that something that can
there's
enter in
validity in
calculus?
that, but and my standpoint is like, look, I might say it's bad, and I don't want my 4 family members and 3 friends to come to this, but if the other people in the cast feel differently and they love it and they think it's great, then guess what? They're going to invite everybody to come see that show, and they're going to invite all their family and friends. So whatever 2 seats are not going to be occupied by my folks are easily going to be taken by other people. So I
Okay.
look at it this way: it is a common courtesy thing. If you know your show is bad, or if you know that you're terrible in it, or there's certain things out there, and you don't want people to come see you in it, that's okay. There's no protocol that says, stop, you're being ridiculous, we're gonna come see you. Like, if you're honestly ashamed or embarrassed of what you're in, or you don't want people to waste their money and time on just to come see you just because they want to support you,
Yeah. Yeah.
then that's okay. That's all right.
Okay. All right, good stuff. Thank you, Chris. That wraps up today's episode. Once again, if you'd like your theater related question answered on the show, email us at theateradviceosb@gmail.com. That's theateradviceosb@gmail.com. You can also drop a comment with hashtag theateradviceosb on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. All of them, our handles are OnStage Blog. Please, if you like this content and you want to check out our other videos or the theater advice, subscribe to this channel. We publish new content a couple times a week. We don't know for how long. We might do a season here, a season there, but we'll announce all that. Follow us on social media, as we just said, to keep apprised of all the updates. And once again, we appreciate your views. We appreciate your subscribes. And stay tuned for another new episode coming shortly. Catch you next time.